the story of a Nigerian American woman navigating through this thing called life.
Okay, so but you gotta check in every once in a while.
I'll check in every once in a while. So we're gonna do you still wanna go down or you just wanna let's do it?
We can do it.
Okay, let's do
always re-record.
Okay, well this is happening, Candace. We here.
I'm excited. I'm so proud of you, Yasunde.
Thanks, Candace. Thanks, Candace.
This has been in the making for like first 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, it has been.
And I've been pushing for this for a long time because this has always been on the top of your mind.
It has been, but you know, such is life. Like life kind of unfolds in ways that you don't have any control over.
Yeah.
Like God is the navigator. He is the controller, and I'm just living in it. And I think that because I'm in a new season of my life where I'm trying to not have fear be of me or dictate how I move, that's why we're here. Because me doing this,
it ain't you.
It ain't me.
The cameras, the social media.
I'm even struggling in this now, but I know with time.
Yeah. And you know what we talked about before, which was the ease of things. You shouldn't be fighting to achieve your goals.
Right.
And if it's God sent, it's not saying it's going to be easy.
Right.
But you shouldn't be fighting an uphill battle.
You shouldn't be fighting an uphill battle.
You should have the energy. He would give you the energy to fight it when it's time.
Absolutely. So that's why we're here now, and that's why we're starting off with the Genesis, episode 1 of the Unmet Expectation.
Episode 1, baby.
Episode 1, one down and infinity to go.
Infinity to go.
By God's grace. So we in the building.
I'm so excited.
You with my girl, my Jamaican gum fingers in the air. We live in the studio with my Candace.
Yes.
One of the most intellectual people I know.
Aww,
I'm so honored that you decided to be my first guest. It means a lot.
It means a lot to me.
It means a lot, Candace. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, it's not a coincidence that you're here. It's not an accident that you're here. You're super intellectual, super intelligent. You're a traveler. You're a dancer. You just want to have fun. Like you're just all these great things, and I'm so glad that you're on here today.
Yeah, and I'm honored to be here.
Yeah.
Because one, I've gotten to know you so well over the years, and you've gotten to know a piece of me that most people don't get exposed to.
Right.
But also to be on this platform with you and to be a part of this journey, watch you beginning from the fruition, from the ideation to the fruition.
Yeah.
I can't wait to, let's say it's like 5, 10, wherever this leads, to be celebrating that milestone.
Wow.
Because I can see it. I'm already planning for it.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's take it day by day. And I'm like, day by day.
No, I need that type of push. I need y'all, I need everyone in my corner to root, everyone who's rooting for me, I need y'all. Because there's so many times when I don't believe in myself, but having y'all in my corner, just reassuring. And it makes me definitely feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, you
like
have.
This one, I want this to be my platform of purpose. I want to feel fulfilled by this. And I think
this is it.
I think this is it. So let's do a check-in. Let's call this like a mood check. How we feeling today? How we feeling?
I'm feeling stable.
Okay.
Which is huge for me.
Okay.
Considering the last 3 years, 4 years of life, I feel like I'm at a stage now where stability feels good.
Yes.
I feel like I've been grasping that for so long.
And I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Big girl.
I know, I'm such an adult.
Big girl moves.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where I'm feeling. I'm feeling grateful.
Okay.
I'm feeling stable, and I'm getting to the point of clarity. That's where I am. I think there was a time period for the last 3 years where I felt everything was so cloudy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm in the clear yet, but that cloudiness.
Right. And when things are cloudy, you can't see right. That's That's tough. That's heavy. But now that you are in that place of clarity, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
And it's only on the uphill from here.
I'm telling you. And it feels that way too.
Mhm.
It feels like it's on the uphill. So I'm not even like, when is this going to happen? It's just like, God, I know you're about to bring it into fruition. I'm going to just sit here and enjoy the ride.
That's it.
That's how I feel right now.
That is it. So we're in a stable mood.
We're in a stable mood.
I love that. I love that for you, Candace. So, name of the podcast is called The Unmet Expectation. What are some of your unmet expectations? That can be cultural, societal, educational, relationship. Any expectation that you feel is unmet, let's talk about it.
Right. Oh my gosh. So when I think about it on a cultural level, coming from a very deep traditional Jamaican culture and family, similar to your culture, there is the expectation of marriage by a certain age, expectation of education. There's an expectation of taking care of family. Earlier on, or taking on a lot of additional responsibilities that our generations past had to deal with, but that's because their dynamic is very different. Whereas now, as I'm not even a first generation American. I was born and raised Jamaican, so my kids will be first generation American, but making that transition and building an identity for myself, that's outside of the expectations.
Right.
It's been liberating, but also having to remind myself that it's okay.
That it's okay.
And also that just because it doesn't go along with cultural norms, that it doesn't mean it's wrong. Yeah, so...
Because who's to define or decide what's wrong and what's right?
Right, there's definitely... But also, I think a slight twist on that, the unmet expectation, is... I think we're just, as a Black culture, we're just starting to, I guess, branch out in things that's not really considered Black. So I've always loved the hiking. I've done so many hiking trails and expeditions and rock climbing. And I remember when I first started 6 years ago, it was like, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? And now I'm seeing a lot more people that look like us are taking those things and enjoying it and realizing your life can be far more. Or there are things in life far more than the parties or the drinking. Because I never subscribed to that lifestyle. It just wasn't my thing. But I partook in it for social reasons. But when I navigated out to more nature-oriented stuff, that I didn't see people like myself. That was a little off the beat.
Yeah, there's definitely been a shift, like you said, the whole hiking, just being more outdoorsy.
Yes.
I feel like that's the thing that a lot of people are gravitating towards more now. So that's so true. Yeah, so you talked a little bit about travel.
Yeah.
And we love a travel.
We love travel.
Travel is life. It really is. It really, really is. Traveling for me, and in general, I just really, really, really advocate for people to explore. There's 6 other continents to explore. Why are we only here? So I really advocate for people to kind of explore the world. It expands your mindset. It expands your outlook on life. It changes the way you think.
It really does.
And it makes you grateful.
Yeah.
It makes you really grateful.
At minimum, it makes you grateful.
Yeah. So.
I think a little bit more than that. It does make you grateful 100%. It humbles you in many ways, but it connects you.
Absolutely.
And I think when I started traveling, I felt like it made the world smaller. Because it's so easy to say, well, them over there, or I'm here, or those people. And when you start traveling and you make these connections with people, you kind of those barriers of those people or pointing fingers, it removes those barriers or make it smaller.
It does.
And that's what I love most about it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, you've been to quite a few countries because there's quite a few places to go. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about top 5 and then give me the reasons for why, whatever that means for you.
So top 5 countries. And I think when a lot of people think about top 5, they think about what are the countries you'll definitely go back to, maybe even. When I think about top 5, I think about those experiences that contributed to my self-expansion.
Okay.
So it's a tie between 1 and 2. So number 1 was Turkey. Turkey was one of the first countries I went to back in, it was shortly after college.
Okay.
So 2014.
Okay.
So Turkey was the first country that I traveled to outside of North America.
Right.
And that widened my experience because that was the first time. So we were the only Black people that I noticed in Turkey at the time. So we got a lot of stares. Right. There were oftentimes people who were also traveling from other cultures who would come up and take our pictures sneakingly.
Yep.
Or ask their kids to come ask us if they could take a picture. And at first it felt uneasy.
Okay.
Because I didn't understand what their thought process was or what conclusions they had already drawn.
Exactly.
When asking to take pictures. So I don't know the story that they were going to tell once these pictures walked away with them.
Right.
And that made me nervous. But what I realized was they were a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
They all came from a place of curiosity, and that felt really good. And that's when I decided, you know what, this is so important because I'm probably the only Black person they've seen in their life, but also probably for a long time, the only one they will see.
Ever see. That's true.
And if this experience was pleasant for them, I hope they take that away.
Wow.
Even if they drew a negative conclusion about who I am based on whatever media.
Yeah.
I hope that this can.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was uneasy, but that type of tourism or traveling, I was okay with because it was curiosity.
Yeah, I definitely experienced that same while in Bali. Definitely a lot of people coming up to you, asking to take pictures, and I don't know if it's like, and I get it. It's the curiosity thing, and it's I think a lot of the times they're not exposed. So if you're not exposed to, you become curious about. So yeah, that's where it comes from. It's the curiosity. It's the seeing these things on TV, but actually seeing a Black person in person. Yeah. So where are we going after Turkey?
After Turkey is India.
Okay.
So in India, that was the second country I think I've been. I went there to visit a friend. And that was a culture shock for it to be my second country. All of like the sensory like things would go off, whether it's smell or sight or hear what you hear. It was just all hyper intensified. And so I love the culture because it's so rich. It's so bright. I actually went during Holi.
Okay.
And I loved it. But similar to Turkey, sometimes I didn't get, that was the first time I sensed, yes, the looks of curiosity, but also the looks of already formed opinion.
Wow.
Right. And so that was a learning process for me. I would go back, but for that to be my second country, it was the first time I kind of sensed or had conversations that didn't have a positive dialogue. Black.
Wow.
So India, because it was a learning experience. The third would be Bali, because that was my first solo travel. And I love solo travel.
Solo travel. That is her thing.
Yeah, I would choose a solo travel over a group travel any day. And I love girls trip and all that stuff, but I'll do one girls trip a year and 5 solo travel trips for the rest of the year. So
you like that alone time.
yes.
Reflective.
Exactly. But also you see yourself in a very uninfluenced light.
Right. Very, very, very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So yeah, that was Bali. Fourth would be Peru, because that was my first, it was solo traveling, but
Okay.
I did my 5-day hike of Machu Picchu.
Yes.
And while I always liked hiking, that took it to another level, to the point where like I started traveling for like extended hikes.
Yes.
And I've been doing that for some time.
Yeah.
I'm planning for Kilimanjaro, but it's something that I can foresee myself doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that exposure is good. And then lastly, the Dominican Republic. I lived there for 2 years as a Peace Corps volunteer. It's shaped the woman I've become today in so many ways.
Yeah.
It's altered my view of the of worlds and people. And it's kind of humbled me so many ways to see that people are people. We're flawed humans.
Yeah.
And just got to take the good with the bad sometimes.
That's it. Good segue. So you speak of DR, you speak of the Peace Corps. Can we talk about how the Peace Corps and like your Jamaican background, how your parents saw that, and what were those conversations like with your parents while you were there before you left? Did they feel, because you're an accountant, you have a degree in an accounting degree.
Yeah.
So to go from an accounting degree to tell your parents, your Jamaican parents, that, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to DR Peace Corps. Okay. Like, how did that conversation go?
I think they gave up on me.
Did they give up? They were like, oh, she's X'd off by that point.
After I fought with them for a little bit, so obviously I think it's the generations prior, they worked so hard to get to where they are today, to have the roofs over their heads, to have the opportunities, and work so hard to have their children have better opportunities. And for them, it's like, we carried water on our heads to get to the house several times a week. Why are you voluntarily going back to this? Like, we work so hard to get you to this luxury life that you have, whether it's just to get a job that allows you to earn a living, or to invest in a 401k. For them, it was a 401k.
Yeah.
That was the first thing my dad asked me, actually, like, what about your 401k? I'm like, what? This is what you want to...
Yeah, like, that is there.
Of all things.
Yeah, of all things. Like,
right.
That's not...
Yeah, they thought it was such a stupid idea. They didn't support me in any part of the process. Actually, I think they thought it was a joke. I told them 6 months before I left that they thought it was a phase, like, girl. But when it hit the fan, and it was a week before I'm leaving, my dad, I asked him to drop me at the airport. I don't think my mom had mentioned anything, and I was gone. And I think I spoke to them several times throughout the 2 and a bit years. And it's funny, they don't know anything about my service. So we've never talked about what happened, what projects I was doing, how I contributed, what I've learned, my experience. We didn't talk about any of that. They didn't ask about it. But when I came back, it was so interesting because I guess their coworkers, friends, children had done the Peace Corps. And then they were like, oh, my daughter did it too.
Yeah, it's like, oh, really? Yes, people do go to Peace Corps.
Right.
It's a very, very common thing. And that's just one of the things that parents, because we're here, they're not used. There's so many things that they have to get acclimated to, like Peace Corps. What is a Peace Corps? Like, what does that even mean?
Are they paying you a salary?
Are they paying you? Like, yeah, so that was probably I can only imagine what that conversation was like. And for them to not even, you saw while you were there, your duration there, they
didn't ask about it. How's everything going? There's none of that. Like, what do you do? What's your project? What's your work like? How's your house? They didn't ask about it. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because they didn't support it. Or if it was just they didn't know what questions. I'm not sure what it was. I think whatever it was, I think they had valid reasons It's
So
really,
now they're like, yeah, my daughter was in the Peace Corps.
now they
Yeah.
say that. Like, I think my mom went to a wedding one day and the conversation came up and was, yeah, my daughter went to.
That's a big deal.
It
See that
is.
shift and that that mindset shift right there for them.
It's also made me think about, because since then my mom began traveling more.
Wow.
And it's a mindset shift. There are people within my family who looked at it as it's okay to take risks.
Yeah.
It's okay to go into the, it's okay to follow after something.
So about maybe like a week or two, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. Candace calls me. I was like, Candace is calling me. 10 o'clock. Hey Candace, what's up? What's going on? She's like, hey, Sunday. I'm like, hi. She's like, do you think I overthink things too much? And I was like, huh? I didn't know what angle you were coming from. I was like really, really confused. I was like, you think I overthink things too much? Overthink? I was like, what are you talking about here? And I was like, yeah, a bit, but I didn't know what direction you were going in. And I'm like, and she was like, well, I was thinking about the house and how all of 2020, 2021, 22, the past 2 years, I was supposed to buy a house and I didn't do it. And I was like, yeah, you really overthought that process quite a bit. You did.
Because you just go in and like, I'm about to buy property. I'm about to buy another property.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, make a decision and you execute.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of risk.
Yeah, I realized that. And we talked about that because you're a risk taker in many areas. And you're like, but Candace, you're a risk taker yourself.
Yeah.
And I was thinking with my safety, I don't worry about, I always feel protected. So I don't worry about navigating the world and having to worry about my safety. But for some reason, when it came to finances, I'm like, oh, I'm about to die.
Yeah. And I think, and that's when I talked about, I said, I think it's just your relationship with money. I think, I don't know if that's an upbringing thing, but I think our relationship with money kind of determines how we make moves, determines the risk we're willing to take. And buying a house, that's not an easy decision. That's a big commitment. So I get the hesitation, but your level of hesitation and fear was like,
through the roof.
it was through the roof.
Yeah.
It was through the roof. So I said, yes, Candace, you definitely overthought that process. You really were not willing to jump when it came to
opportunities that presented
itself, but you would be willing to travel to Korea, South Korea solo for a week or two. So it's interesting where you're willing to take risk at and where you're not willing to take risk at. And your finances is not an area in which you're willing to take risk at.
And it's crazy because I think we talked about this. And as it related to the house, it was more than just finance. It was the finances portion. Because I always had so I think we both have varying degrees of this, but we both have the conclusion that money's always going to come.
Always.
Like, money will always come. I've never had an obstacle with getting money in my life. We're both very financially sound. And so it wasn't that I didn't have enough, but for some reason, I couldn't take the risk of purchasing a house.
That fear.
But I realized that the fear was both a financial fear and a fear of commitment. I was like, oh, so I looked at the house as a long-term commitment and I was like, I'm about to be trapped. Can I go on my month, 2 year travels when I'm thinking about a mortgage? And I know logically, in the long term, it's an investment. Absolutely. But in the short term, I'm like, what do I have to do to get that long-term gain? Do I have to give up this fluid, non-committal lifestyle that I have? Am I going to have to restrict taking a job in, I don't know, Ghana for some reason? Because of this commitment. That's what scared me.
Yeah.
Like feeling trapped. So what allows you to kind of take those risks?
I think with me, 1, money, very fluid. 2, whatever's not for me won't happen. And then we talk about like fear, like now, like fear not being that of me, but even before, it's like faith. Like if it's supposed to happen, it will happen. If it's not supposed to happen, it won't happen. So
for you, it's might as well.
It's might
Might as well.
Try it. And then whatever happens, happens. You know, God's got me. God's got us. So I think that helps in me being able to take risk. I look at any opportunity that comes my way was meant to come my way, and I jump at it. So that's why I am a risk taker, especially when it comes to real estate. I don't mind taking those type of risks. Because I know the pros and cons, and we talked about pros and cons, right?
The pros outweighs.
So some months I might not have a tenant in any of the units, you know, but on the same token, there's equity building. So that kind of helps.
So how do you navigate? Because you said something that I was like, ooh, that's gold. You were like, oh, if it comes my way, it's meant to be, or I'm going to take the risk. Yeah. But how do you navigate whether or not you chase after something versus whether it came your way?
Right. So if you're chasing and it's not sticking, that's not for you. I think that's kind of what you can't keep chasing something and it's not sticking. That means it's not for you. If things are sticking, things are flowing, things are just happening. Yeah. That's when you know. Yeah, that's for me. But if you're struggling, but struggle's okay, but I think struggling is subjective. It depends on what they like. If things are just not sticking for you, you're chasing something, things are happening, you might have to pivot and go somewhere else. Because what you're chasing might not be for you. Something else will be for you. But I think even in you chasing, you're building resilience as well. So if things don't just happen by accident, you're building resilience. Resilience is such a powerful attribute to have as a human being. Yeah.
So I have two questions then. Two things. The first question is, this is a scenario that a close friend of mine.
Okay.
I mean, how you would have navigated this. And I think this is why it's so important for us to know that our story is not going to look like anybody else's. Because we hear so many stories of, so even when I went to the Peace Corps, you heard so many stories of like, oh, this one had to leave. This one had like harassment issues. This one. So there are so many people who don't make it through for whatever reason, but that doesn't have to be your story. No. And you have to pick and choose which stories do you hold true to? Or if you have a rule of thumb, to let go of all stories and see what your story ought to be. Wow. But I had a friend, 2019, she's like a serial entrepreneur. She's so stable now, such an inspiration. But for a few years back, she had to file for bankruptcy. And, you know, with bankruptcy, that's 7 years of like financial restriction that you have to wait for. Yeah. But within like 2 years of her filing for bankruptcy, she was like, no, I'm not going to let this stop me. She could have easily said, oh, I filed for bankruptcy. This might happen again. Let me play it safe. Instead, within the last 2-3 years, she's attained 2 properties. Wow. One rental / Airbnb, another for herself. Okay. And that's still under a bankruptcy title. I mean, so when I think about that, and I make decisions, it's so important for me not to base my decision of like, oh, this person filed for bankruptcy, could be me. I could easily also just make it off a decision of, well, this person flourished. Yep. And that could be me. So we take those negative things and turn them into positives. Yeah. And I think that just being optimistic in life gets you a lot further. Yeah, I agree. But also making rational decisions is really important. And that's something I had to. Like you say, like, and you go through life. I admire the way you go through life because it's always like, I have faith. I have like and I've seen that grow in you as time went on. Yeah, it's growing. Unwavering faith. Right now, like, faith in me and God. Yeah. So it's not like you don't face challenges in life. Like you still like, ooh, I'm nervous, da 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 da. But it's not like, it's not crippling. It's not. You move through it. You move through it. Yeah. Ebb and flow, for sure. So faith, and then
anything of God, fear is not of God, so that's not of me.
Yeah.
Like that type of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But we are human too. So I'm not going to say I'm just this, oh, I'm fearless. Like, I'm not going to lie, even as we're recording right now, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it.
That's the thing. You take action.
You take action despite it. Because you're still thriving and surviving, you're still doing it. You live and you learn.
So this year, that's my hope. That's my plan.
And Candace, it's going to happen for you.
Despite it.
It's going to happen for you. You're going to get that Tesla. You're going to get that house. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You have everything in place for it. And you work so hard. And you're so smart.
Aww.
And things will definitely fall into place for you. I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that too. I'm not worried about the when anymore.
No.
Because I was so like timeline driven before. I'm not worried about the when. Because I know it's coming. And it's irrelevant when it comes, because where I am right now, I'm so content.
Yeah. Super content.
If I know this isn't the case, like this is not, my current situation will not be my future.
It won't.
But if it will be, or if it might be, I'm okay with it, because it still feels good where I am right now.
And based on the trajectory of your life, there's only up and up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Minor setbacks, but major comebacks.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a really, really good outlook on life for sure. So, okay, so we're here today. Any words of advice or affirmation you would give your 21-year-old self based on what you know today?
Yeah. I would give myself several. First being, it's okay that you don't fit in. You don't need to fit in. It's okay that you didn't really like drinking. It's okay that you didn't stand out. It's okay that you didn't ooze sexuality. It's okay that you might have been the goofy one in the world, in the room, or the cute one in the room. It's okay if you were the smart one or the not so smart one. Whatever state you're in, you're exactly where you need it. Just like whatever state I'm in right now, with or without, whatever, I'm exactly where I need to be.
Wow. That's that's good, Candace. Candace, that was really good.
Yeah.
Because that embodies and encompasses who you are as a person.
Yeah.
To a T.
Whatever state you're in, you're exactly where you need to be. I didn't need to be in the spotlight. But just because I'm not in the spotlight doesn't mean I should force myself.
Right.
Right?
Come on. Wow.
Yeah. Like, there are times when I put myself in places, or I hid myself because I'm like, oh, well, I might not be deserving to be in the spotlight or front and center, so maybe I'm not deserving to be here anyway. So put yourself in the shadows. Don't be seen. But sometimes you don't need to be seen in that way, front and stage, but you're still seen even if you're in the middle of the crowd. You know what I mean? You don't need to be on the stage to be whatever, and that's okay too.
Yes, that is okay too. Wow, Candace. No, that was deep. So profound.
Yeah.
Super profound. So earlier we were talking about, like, Candace loves a dance. I got this girl. I just want to dance. Candace loves a dance party.
I do. Oh my gosh. And it's so sad because I think about it now.
We were talking about that earlier. What did you say you would do with your future kids?
I would have like little breakout dance session with them. Even now in my home, like I have a random breakout session throughout my workday. I'll blast the music and I'll just go around my apartment dancing. And it'll last for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I actually visited a friend in Tennessee like a few months ago. And we had a whole dance session in her living room. But also, I don't know if you don't know about this, but me and my friend also got into static dancing.
You told me about that.
Yes.
You went to. See, Candace, I mean, this is... Oh, Candace, okay, let me not pivot too far away. Keep going.
So, like, So, we have our traditional, our normal dance, like dance hall, Afro beats, like, those are like, you got to have rhythm and like, it comes natural to us.
Yeah.
But ecstatic dancing is like a free form type of dancing where like there's no rhythm necessary. You feel it in your body and you just go with the flow. And I've been into that the last like 2 years. You sit there looking like, what is this?
Static dancing, Candace.
Right. There's like no form at all.
And that's okay.
And you use your whole body.
Yeah, I've seen it before. And there's not much color in those type of places.
No, I'm always the only black person. There's one Indian guy this one time, but he was the vendor.
No, Candace, actually not. Candace will have us in the middle hiking. She'll have us at static parties.
Remember when we went to Spa World?
Yeah. Well, Spa World's calm. Spa World's...
It's calm, but we were also the only people who looked like us.
Well,
as usual. We'll embrace it.
We'll embrace it.
Yeah.
We'll embrace it. So, speaking of dancing, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to head off to the next segment, and it's called On Repeat.
On repeat, yes.
Because music is life.
Music
is big life.
It speaks to every aspect of life.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. So, what we listening to this week or at any given time?
So let's start with any given time.
Okay.
So my dad and I, we have this, every Sunday, me and my dad he used to drag me to the car wash.
Okay.
And to do groceries on like Saturday and Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm. Your Jamaican dad. Yes.
And every time he would put in Buju Banton album. I think it's called Untold Stories or something. Or Till Shiloh is the name of the album.
Okay.
And till this day, my Sunday playlist is that album. But also when I need a little bit of grounding or humility, or centering, Untold Stories by Buju Banton is my go-to. Buju, Untold Stories, that's my go-to.
Can you sing a little bit of it for us?
Ooh, let me think. Yes, but don't put this on there. It's called Till I'm Laid to Rest. Yes, always be depressed. There's no life in the West. Yes, I know the East is the best. Yes, suffer under something like that.
Come
but
on.
It's
all big tune.
Yeah, it's so humbling about like the influences that today's culture has on us and how it takes us from our true nature sometimes. People are suffering everywhere, and life is sometimes about suffering, that you navigate through all of that. But it just connects, because I think it talks about so many African countries, actually.
And Buju was big on like Africa, right?
Yeah, he's a Rastafarian.
Okay.
So that's how I learned about the continent. Like, as a kid growing up, that's when my dad used to blast. But it's such a grounding song to me. It's such a humbling song.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah. And on replay, ooh, what was I listening to on repeat? What was that song this morning? I was listening in the car earlier. What is love? Baby, don't...
See, Candace likes to bring out these sides, We go from Buju to what is love?
Baby, don't hurt me.
Candace.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. What's yours right now?
So we going down south. We taking it to the gutter.
Oh, God.
Because we taking it gutter. So this week I've been working out heavy to Young Jeezy. Is Young Jeezy
Thug Motivation?
Is that on Thug Motivation? It's from the bottom of the map. It's Young Jeezy from the bottom of the map. Hey, that one. That's my shit. Oh, put me on the treadmill with that on.
You get it. You get it in.
It's on and popping. It is on. You can't tell me nothing.
Wow.
And I'm dancing on the treadmill.
Really?
My head.
I tried it. It wasn't working. Because you know what, though? My go-to on the treadmill is soca. So I'll be in Carnival next year. Soca is my hype.
Yes.
My hype dance.
We might both be in Carnival. That's going to...
You better buy your ticket now. Because my friend, she left in... When did she buy all her stuff? In October? That was $6,000. She said $6,000. But if you buy... Because I think the flight itself was like... two something. So if you buy now, it's like $300 for the flight, and then you have to do the mask costumes and all of that.
So $6,000 collectively for
collectively.
The mask, play band or whatever that's called, play mask, all that good stuff. I want to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy my ticket.
I feel like your homegirls always go.
They love it. They love Trinidad. Between Trinidad and Jamaica, they've gone to Jamaica Carnival. They've done Trinidad like 2 or 3 times.
Jamaica holds a lot of special place in a lot of our hearts.
I can tell.
Cover Jamaican girl. Jamaican girl don't. And that's the episode for another day. That's the episode for another day. That's the episode for another day. Candace, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so happy much for being my first guest.
Oh,
like it means a lot. But this won't be the first or the last. Yeah. It'll be the first, but won't be the last time you see Candace on this podcast. She'll be back for sure.
I'll be celebrating, y'all.
Guest.
You already know.
No doubt.
You already know.
Yes, no doubt. So thank you all for tuning in to the first episode of the Unmet Expectation podcast. I'm your host, Yasinde, is in the building. I'm excited. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling blessed. Thank you, God. This is one of many. Shout out to my girl, Candace, for coming on today.
I'm so happy to be here, y'all. Watch the episodes. Get the content.
Tell a friend.
It's life-changing. Tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
And then also... what I want from everyone is to send your dilemmas into theunmetexpectation@gmail.com. Again, that's theunmetexpectation@gmail.com. Feel free to follow at theunmetexpectation on Instagram. And like I said before, bear with me on the whole social media thing. I'm working on it.
You're working on it.
Better at it for sure. Stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in. Stay locked in. I'm super excited. Not excited. I'm thrilled. I'm tired of using excited.
She's empowered. She's ready to serve. She's ready to deliver, y'all.
Yes.
Unmatched. Expectations, baby.
This is happening. Yeah. Did you say unmatched?
Unmet. Oh, shoot.
This is going in there.
No. Have a bloopers. Have like a blooper thing at the end of. Maybe. Don't make me look bad.
We'll see.